So let's talk about parasocial relationships. This is something that was trending maybe a year or so ago, or maybe a little bit earlier. For a few months, people talked much about parasocial relationships, and I found those discussions to be very helpful. The fact that we nowadays seem to have access to many people's lives, so to speak, at least to the parts of their lives that they choose to demonstrate on social media, we may develop a connection, so to speak, with these people. We may feel like we know them, we're friends, etc. So upon analyzing my own reactions and behavior, I've realized that I also was a victim of parasocial relationships. I looked at many content creators as if they were my friends. I cared deeply about their lives, about what happened to them, about their opinions, and there's nothing particularly wrong with this. However, what I found was happening to me is that I allowed an influence into my life that I didn't have much control over. And this would happen anyway, whether I consumed content on the internet or not. We are never free from outside influence, and it is actually great that we become influenced by various sources, people included. What I found to be somewhat disturbing about my own connections to content creators online is that I would trust them as if I knew them, and oftentimes their words would have much weight to me. I would care a lot more about their opinions than the opinions of the rest of the strangers on the internet, even though they are strangers to me as well. So this is one of the dangers, or risks rather, of parasocial relationships. You may not realize how much these people influence you, and you may become a victim of agitation, which is not necessarily bad per se, but if you look into the origins of words propaganda and agitation, they are neutral, and if anyone is agitating you to do something that might be of benefit, well, why not? Maybe you will try it and it will become an aid in your life. However, when agitation and propaganda become harmful, usually is when they are capitalistic. And most of the modern parasocial relationships are capitalistic. So you watch content that is created for the purpose of promoting either products directly or a certain lifestyle or a certain vibe, so to speak. So you may begin choosing something in your life because of those outside influences. You may be more drawn to certain objects because you have been exposed to these objects through these parasocial relationships. And that is just one of the risks that parasocial relationships may expose you to. Other risks include disappointment. You may grow very disappointed with your own life because you observe this curated, perfect life of someone else. And I'm obviously talking about a particular type of content which not everyone gets involved with, and that's probably good. That's another risk that many people are actually aware of, and this is one of the reasons why people begin to delete social media, because they don't want to see those fake lifestyles every single day. And another big risk that I think is not talked about enough is loneliness and isolation. If you continuously see people online being bombarded with attention and affection, you may feel that something is wrong with you because you do not receive nearly as much in your day-to-day life, or even if you start making content yourself, or even if you're just present online and you post occasionally for your family and friends, you unconsciously or subconsciously begin comparing yourself to these people, and you think, well, they have all the attention, they receive that many likes. I mean, it's hard to deny that most of us are influenced by the amount of attention we receive, not only in real life, but online as well. So if you are continuously exposed to other people's curated lives, you are going to have a warped perception of the world and interaction between humans. Because think about it, 100 years ago, how many people would you usually get to know throughout your life? Maybe a handful, maybe 100 people or so would be somewhat of an influence on your life at different stages. However, do you think you would interact with thousands of people? Would you know about thousands of people's lives? And the answer is no, you wouldn't. It would just be insane if somebody told people 100 years ago, you know, we'd be looking at content that millions of other people are looking at as well. People would be astounded, because with television even, it's not the same. You don't have the same connection to television because you know it is made for particular purposes. However, content made for online consumption, if that's even a phrase, I don't know, content that's made primarily to serve certain niche culture, so to speak, it creates an absolutely different mood. It creates a mood of intimacy, and this intimacy is fake. So if you watch the TV show, you wouldn't really connect to the characters to such an extent where you would feel betrayed by them if they did something you deem unacceptable. Maybe you would, but the chances are that it wouldn't be that much of an influence on your mental well-being. However, with the online communities, we see that being the case all the time. People watch influencers online, and they get so wrapped up in other people's lives. It's like a real life soap opera to them, and on one hand it's entertaining for them, but on the other it really creates a very toxic mindset, and it creates a precedent of lack of true connection, because it's one way, one-sided. It only comes from the viewer, not from the creator, and it creates that unequal dynamic, therefore. And it's just not feasible for us to observe so many people and remain sane. Because in the past, again, and I'm not idealizing the past, I'm not saying in the good old days you would have to go outside to talk to people. No, okay, maybe I'm doing that. But the main risk of parasocial relationships is that you begin to think that this is normal, that people get thousands or hundreds of thousands of views on their videos or likes on their photos or whatever it might be, and it becomes the new normal. So when you compare this to your own life, you may be like, I get to talk to 10 people a week, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more, and you may feel like you're lacking in attention, lacking in affection, lacking in respect, lacking in gratitude, etc. So because you see these exaggerated personas of people online, you may subconsciously set yourself for this impossible standard. So these are a few risks that may occur if you are exposed constantly to people living their lives online. So I personally stopped watching or exposing myself to various content online, and it has made a huge improvement to my mental health and general well-being, because I stopped thinking in terms of numbers. I stopped thinking in terms of popularity, because I was able to return to the normal interaction, so to speak. So I realized that I don't want to talk to hundreds and thousands of people. I want to talk to a few people about something that's very important. And yes, I don't mind if more people come and talk to me, but that's not something I desire personally. I don't desire the attention of millions, that's for sure. And the reason why I might have thought I did was because I was bombarded with this propaganda and agitation that, oh, this is what everyone else wants. You're not different from everyone else, so you should want this too. So these are some of my thoughts on parasocial relationships. Let me know if you want to talk about it more, and let's not have a parasocial relationship.